And welcome inside the Backstage Pass. Of course, another week of shows, and we're closer to the start of high school football season coming up August 25th with week 0, week 1, however they call that there still. Looking forward to that. The Viter Pirates, CajunCountryRadio.com, the place to be for all the great Cajun country classics. And, of course, right here, powered by the Sports Guys Podcast.com with some good stuff there over the next few weeks, and HighTideCountry.net. Yours truly back here. Kirsty Krause, hopefully back in a couple of days here with us on the show. She's on a little tour right now out there. And some big things coming up here for the Backstage Pass, so be sure and stay tuned to the social media things out there. Can't quite comment on it, but be sure and stay tuned to it. My featured artist of the day, I love going to the beach. I just spent like a week down there in Corpus Christi, Texas, and his summer tune, the anthem, came out there June the 30th, and I was actually in Corpus Christi the week of July. Better off on a beach. We all should think that way here on the Backstage Pass. Joe Noto joins us here on the show. Joe, what's up, man?
Nothing much, man. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here. Happy to talk about some music, talk about the grind.
That's what it is, the grind, too. Well, hey, let's talk about your upbringing, too, because I love the story. It's really cool for, musical memories to kind of go through it with the different things in detail. But I understand it, too, and people know we dive here. Your grandfather was a jazz musician. Is that correct, too, as far as for his career? And you kind of started playing young age. We were talking before the show. Music kind of found you there, and it was like pick a sport, pick a guitar, right?
Yeah. So
or instrument.
Yeah, my grandfather back in the 50s and 60s. Well, I should say early 60s before they had my father. He was in Vegas doing the whole jazz circuit, from playing with everybody from Dean Martin to Frank Sinatra and on down the list. And when him and my grandfather had my dad in 1965, my grandma was like, "You're not raising a kid in Las Vegas." So they moved back to Rochester, New York, and my grandfather, just out of the love of his love for music, he opened a music store, and he kind of just played the wedding circuit in and around Western New York. And when I was just prior to when I was born, they just so happened to move down to Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, and my grandfather kind of just continued playing the circuit down here and made a name for himself, just as a solo act. And when I was born, I didn't have a choice. I remember in the back of they had this old little tan brown Toyota. It might have been a Camry or whatever it was, and he just kept all these instruments in the back. And I remember, as soon as I could walk, or as soon as I could even, as early as I can remember, my grandfather was putting me in front of a piano or putting an instrument in my hand. And like you said, when I was 5, my parents came to me and they were like, "Hey, pick a sport, pick an instrument." And that was the start of it. And all the sports kind of came and went all the way up through college. And then music was the one that rang true the whole time.
So let's talk about this. The volleyball, I understand, was kind of your thing. You mentioned some came, some went. Tell me about volleyball and the love for that sport and the connection you had.
Yeah, man. I played everything. I started with baseball and baseball, basketball, football, kind of your go-to three growing up. And I went to when I got into middle school, I tried out for my middle school basketball team and didn't make it. And we were doing playing volleyball at gym class, and there was something about just jumping and slamming the ball down that I liked. And I was like, well, I can get used to that. And me and a couple buddies tried out for the volleyball team just for kind of just nothing to do, and just kind of like, well, we'll see what happens. And I ended up making the team, and played one season and totally fell in love with the sport. I was in 6th grade, and I joined a club team and went on to play club volleyball at Florida State, which isn't anything crazy, but it's just, it was just because I loved it so much. And volleyball is a sport I think that you can play until you're 65, 70, because I played against folks that are up there in age. And I think it's just one of the greatest sports ever. And I know it's not, your traditional sport that you hear, especially in Nashville. Like, you don't find too many like, "Oh, what sport did you play?" It's usually, baseball, football, whatever. So yeah, I was a volleyball player, man. And it was a lot of fun. I wish I was still playing as well as I was back then, but it's all good.
No, I love the music, and you have the connection, which we call ourselves the Grand Slam of Sports and Music here, which the connection's great. You're a great fit for the show, no doubt. I love this because I'm going to go back to the beginning before we kind of break down this latest single that's creating a lot of buzz, and it sounds so fantastic out there with this current single that I love so much. But I want to go back to 19 and something that, we do our research here, so we're going to start at the beginning when singles come out. Chasing After You was one of the first ones, probably the first one you released there, November of 19. Talk about just how it got started from finding your sound, who you want to be as an artist, and then kind of project that over the last 2 or 3 years.
I think I started out knowing that music was what I loved and it was what I wanted to do. When it came to, I mean, I didn't ever know, like, growing up that I wanted to do this as a career. But once I played in a little rock band in high school, and then started doing my own thing because nobody wanted to play country music with me. So I was like, you know what, if nobody wants to, I'm gonna do it by myself. And I just started playing cover gigs, and then I didn't start writing songs until my freshman spring at Florida State. And then I played. So basically, to get to the recordings, to make a long story short, I won a competition that allowed me to open up a show here in West Palm. And I got to open. Luke Combs was on that show at the time. He was just starting to hit his stride. He wasn't like a headliner yet. And I got to meet his band, and they were all really cool. Well, I stayed in contact with his band, and then I continued to grind it out, like, over the course of that year, leading into my sophomore year of college, and then sophomore spring, I played another show with them after he finally was becoming Luke Combs. And they were like, it was my first time I'd ever played a show, and they'd given me like a pass or whatever. And they were like, there was catering, and I sat down with them, and they were like, hey man, where can I find your music? And I was like, I don't know anything about producers. I don't know where to find one. I don't know nothing. They said, when you got enough songs, hit us up. I went and recorded in Nashville with a guy named Grady Saxman. And I think at the time, man, to speak on who I am as an artist and discovering my sound, I grew up on a lot of things. And someone asked me recently, which made me kind of think about that. They said, you're a country artist. What's your niche? And I don't think I have a niche. I think I'm probably the least niche person you'd ever meet in your life. I come from a very diverse background with, like, a lot of diversity and music inspiration too. My favorite artist of all time is Michael Jackson. So I grew up on everything from Michael Jackson to Stevie Wonder to Whitney Houston and it was that, and it was 80s hair bands, Bon Jovi, the Scorpions, Aerosmith, that kind of thing. And my love for country music kind of came in a little later in life, but I just the sound is constantly evolving, I think. I think that it's not like you get in the lane. For me, it's not like you find this groove and you stay there. Like, for me, because I love so much music, it's, I'm sure I'll want a project someday that's really, really, really traditional country sounding. And I'm sure I'll probably want to dabble in something that's probably, I get bored fast. And I'm sure I want to dabble in something that's probably a little more pop, and I'll probably want to dabble in something that's a little more rock. And I guess we kind of just see where it goes. So I think as an artist, you're just constantly evolving in sound and writing, and you're always getting better. You're always wanting to say something different. Life experiences continue to happen, and you continue to roll with the punches. So that's kind of what I think.
Well, and you're doing that with this latest single, which is Better Off on a Beach. And I think it's just a perfect summer anthem out there people can really resonate with or have with summer kind of winding down. If you still got a few weeks of vacation, you'll probably do what I did, loop it over and over again in your car on the way to a beach or at least going out to run errands. It's really cool because it's got some great instrumentation in it and really cool lyrics. We're going to go back and talk about that. Do a quick timeout for our friends over at Bangtail Whiskey. Guys, if you hadn't heard about the latest whiskey invading Texas down here, you're missing out. EasyLiquor.com or Bangtail.com. Put your order in there too. Get it at home. 750 milliliters of good stuff out there too. Our good friend Brandon Bing. It's available in Live Oak, in Nashville out there too, and of course Total Wine and Specs in most cities now. Invading it out there. Bangtail Whiskey. This pure good stuff out there. At least make a cocktail at least once or twice a week out there. Goes well with your favorite drinks, and of course our friends at Honky Tonk Texas. Honky Tonk Texas.us concert schedule is up out there too. Find out Silsby's Little Dance Hall at honkytonktexas.us. More with Joe Noto. It is the Backstage Pass coming back. Talk about Picture in My Wallet and, of course, In My View and the latest single, include the music video, Better Off on a Beach. It is the Backstage Pass at hightidecountry.net, and, of course, the Sports Guys podcast.com. Back in a flash. Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass.
The bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
And back here with Joe Noto on the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com and HighTideCountry.net, our fabulous internet radio station out of Oklahoma. You can check us out there if you ever miss a show presented by our friends at Bangtail Whiskey and, of course, out there in Honky Tonk, Texas. So let's go into the single, Joe, because I said I spun it a lot of times out there on streaming. And the music video, fantastic. Better Off on a Beach. Where did this idea kind of start? And, boy, you finished it very well in the studio.
Thank you. So, yeah, this was my first outside cut. I did not write this song. And I heard it for the first time. Somebody sent it to me while I was in college. And the first time I'd ever gone, well, it was written by, I'll start with this. It was written by Michael Tyler, Lalo Guzman, and Josh Phillips. Well, I know they're all three very, very talented writers in Nashville, but I have a unique story to Michael Tyler. My first time I'd ever gone to Nashville, I went to the Opry. I was in high school, and I saw Michael Tyler make his Grand Ole Opry debut. He had just had his first number one as a writer, which was Somewhere on a Beach for Dierks Bentley.
Yeah,
so he's got quite the knack for writing good beach songs. And the first time I heard it, I was like, wow, like I would love to put my name on that song. I saw I saw the Florida in me in that song. And I really do miss being home in Nashville. And I kind of wanted to exemplify that through the production, which is kind of why, like, I wanted to be chill but upbeat, and I also wanted to add a little bit of like a reggae flavor, because that's such an influence here in this part of town that I live in, and I listen to, like I said, like so much music that I wanted that song to resemble home for me for a little bit. So so that was my goal. I got to Nashville. I requested a hold on the song, and by the grace of God, I got it. And we sat on it for a little bit of time. And then when we got into the studio, we did. Phil Lawson was the drummer. Nathan Keederly was the guitar player, and it was just the two of them at first. And they just absolutely crushed it. I got into Nashville on an early flight, and went right to the studio, and they were just like, I was super pumped. It was a really cool morning. I was super pumped. They were super pumped. And I had just been coming back from Florida too. I had flown into Nashville from Fort Lauderdale, and I was just in the mood, and we were just, the vibe was right that morning. And then I got a guy, Eric Blue, that I love. He's one of the most talented piano players I've ever heard, keys player that I've ever heard in my life. And he came in and just put his own touch on it, which helped make it more my sound at the end of the day. So,
well, like I said, your whole team really put this out knowing that it could do some really cool things. You put it on hold, you did it the right way, waited, you got it, and man, the music video. Let's elaborate on this a little bit more. This was fun. You had fun doing this, and it's on all the different streaming platforms. Great. I use Apple Music, so I checked it out there. Just a really cool. First of all, great weather to do it, and then second of all, just like a chance to have fun out there and enjoy a great song, well written, and of course to film it out there had to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great. The music video, the one, it's funny, the visualizer that we have is wild. It's gotten a lot of comments. The animation, that the animation was one that was talked about a little bit with people kind of like around me, and it's beautiful, man. Like, it's all art. My buddy Josh Dell, He took care of the video, and he's one of the most talented people I've ever met in Nashville. It was frankly, so Josh works for a hero of mine. Josh works for Jake Owen, and they did a little video for an unreleased song because Jake was playing it live. They kind of redid. I don't know what the name of the song is. You might be able to tell me, but it's like I want my MTV. But they did but his version was I want my CMT, and they did a little video for it. And I remember Josh and I were hanging out one day, and he was like, "Dude, check this out," and I was like, "That's awesome. Let's do that for Better Off on a Beach." And I gave him the creative reins, and he crushed it.
They did a great job with it too, no doubt. I want to dive into this one too because I love the cover for the single too. It was "Hell of a Better Place," and this was a lot of fun to kind of get into this because I think it was really cool. The photo just has. Is that you as a child on the cover?
Yeah, that was me as a child.
Okay, I figured I had a connection there. That's a really cool backstory of like you growing up in Florida and kind of telling something that was so real close to you and your heart, right?
Yeah, so that song started off. I was going to pull up the picture here just to refresh my memory. But that song started off as almost like a poem.
Yeah,
I was home from college, and I was in my bed one morning, and I rolled over, and I just had this idea about like, oh man, like if my Zebco never tangled, like, and literally like I don't even know how else to tell you, like. I just started writing it like a poem. And then I kind of got all the way through the chorus. And then I just pulled out my guitar and I was like, you know what? Like I gotta figure out the guitar to this because it's going to drive me absolutely crazy. And then that was, of all of my songs that I've released, that was the hardest cover art to settle on because I wanted it to be so right because I released it during COVID. And I knew like, I didn't, I'm very aware of where I am in the ball game, and I didn't think tons of people were going to hear it. But the people that did, I wanted every aspect of that song to resonate with them and to make them feel good, during such obviously a trying time. And I was scrolling through my phone one night, and I found this old picture of me, and that we were on a lake south of in like central New York, and where that photo was taken, and I had my Miami Dolphins Crocs on, and it was a funny photo. And I was like, wow, like, and to me, I saw that picture and I was just like, life was so much easier then, and that's kind of what I resonated with when I saw that. And I just did my best on this little app called Canva to turn it into an old photo. And that's how it got there. And I'm very proud of it.
Good stuff there too, and I tell you, there's so many of the ones that are out there besides just a single "Better Off on a Beach." We'll take a quick time out here. Going to talk about My Buddy Jack. Come back here on the show. Love that one, and of course, In My View, which was 2021. Of course, when things were still kind of getting, I guess, well, I say hit the fan. It did, of course, and then definitely going through that pandemic at the time, but still putting out some great music and definitely connecting with fans is what it's all about. You can also check him out and the music out there, JoeNotoMusic.com. For you guys for coming to hopefully a city near you for ticket information, show schedules, times, things like that. And of course, we'll talk about some of that coming back from the break here on the Backstage Pass. HighTideCountry.net, the Sports Guys Podcast.com, and of course, presented by our friends at Honky Tonk Texas and Bangtail Whiskey. Coming right back. More with Joe Noto. It is the Backstage Pass. Stay tuned. Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
All right, back here with Joe Noto on the Backstage Pass, again powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com, also at HighTideCountry.net. grand slam of sports and music. High school football kicking off next week on Friday, August 25th. The Vider Pirates at state-ranked the Silsbee Tigers. Looking forward to that. Yours truly, Robbie Lynn, Kevin Burcato on the call, and got some surprises for you in the works at Cajun Country Radio. .com, one of our partners here with the Backstage Pass. And I tell you what, back here with Joe Noto coming up tomorrow, another rising artist just like Joe, Cody Webb, coming by here on the show. And sometime next week, we'll catch up with Heath Wright from the band Ricochet back in the 90s. Remember Daddy's Money? We'll talk to Heath about their new album and a whole lot more here. Hey, let's ask you about my buddy Jack, because this was during the pandemic when things were, I guess at the time, we were about a year into it. This one comes out, and again, there's a lot of connections, feel good moments with this one too, because this one's written from the heart. I can tell too.
It's funny. I actually just told this story Saturday night when I was on stage. I'm a little bit of a talker when I get on stage. I kind of value the entertainer aspect a little more than anything else. And I just told the story. That was actually the second song I'd ever written. I just kind of held on to it, I guess, a little longer. I was just a kid trying to figure out how to write songs at Florida State, and I came back from the bar one night, the Tennessee Strip, and I went into the dorm study room, and I was up till like 3:30 in the morning writing it, and I was pretty influenced, if you want to call it, and I started playing it out. I played it for like a couple friends, and they were like, "Wow, that's actually not that bad," and then I came home and I played it for a couple friends, and then they liked it. And I was like, okay, I think I'm sitting on something here. And that's just a song about, I mean, with it being a song about whiskey, it's just a song about, having a good time. And at the time when I wrote it, I was just a wet behind the ears kid in college, learning how to drink and have a good time. So
that's what
I love that song.
from it. I took from it too. And then you guys finished the last single for the 2021. I mentioned people were going to talk about this too. In My View, which is kind of a cool album cover in itself too. You got like this white, hard to see for me, but it's got like this white jacket on, or kind of white kind of background. Your kind of face head's turned to the right a little bit, and it kind of really describes the song. It depicts the song the way it should be too, I think.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. My buddy, one of my best friends, Michael Callahan, took that photo. He just to keep it brief and keep it quite funny. It's about, that song is about a girl that it's his sister's best friend. So let's just put it there. And he wanted to have as much of a part of that song as he possibly could have. And I said, and he likes to take photos and stuff. And I said, hey, let's go, just go take a photo for it. But yeah, that song actually is a song that gave me the confidence to move to Nashville. I was coming up here. I was traveling. Well, up here, I'm back home in Florida right now, but I was traveling back and forth from Tallahassee to Nashville like twice a semester. And I started playing that at writers' rounds, and I got some good feedback. And then I posted on TikTok, and because that's a necessity these days. It caught a little traction, and I was like, hey, maybe I can hang with some of the guys up there. And I'm really just proud of what that song was able to do for me and the confidence that it instilled in me. So I'm happy all of the pieces of that puzzle kind of resonated together.
Yeah, and I see that as the singles come out, and I really enjoyed listening to the cover you did with Miami, My Amy, which was an acoustic version of that one too, because I was a huge Keith Whitley fan growing up. Who wasn't during that time? Right. And you look back at that kind of song, you nailed it. I mean, hit the nail on the head the way it was supposed to be. To do that, was that something you mentioned, kind of your 90s country sound? Because I think neo-traditional to me is making a little bit of a comeback. Was there a plan for that to kind of, was Keith Whitley someone you looked up to growing up?
Keith Whitley was someone I looked up to once I fell in love with country music. I mean, obviously, if you ask anybody, I don't think there's a voice in country that rivaled his voice.
I agree.
And me being a kid from West Palm, I didn't venture to Miami often, but with Miami being so close to home for me, I had always just gravitated towards that song. And I actually got the idea because I was just learning how to, on this computer, work my GarageBand. I got some recording tools and whatnot. And I said, well, I don't want to go botching up my own music. So I'll try and cover other people's songs. And I got so many on here. Bee Gees, Michael Jackson was one of them that I did, and as it started to come together, and I started adding like the harmony parts and stuff, I was like, wow, like maybe I could do like an acoustic cover and just like on this, and that's exactly what I did. So I recorded some of it, and then I took once I got into the territory where I needed a little more professional help, I went back to my buddy Josh Dell. And he helped put the finishing touches on it. And I was like, you know what? Let's just throw it out there, see what people think.
How much fun, because this was another good jam for April 14th. This came out back there. How much fun was Daytona, to kind of put your spin on that one?
Daytona was Daytona's a very fond memory for me. That song was not originally called Daytona. It was called Dear Florida. And then somebody else had written a Dear Florida, and it was close. It was kind of, it's like, it was weird. I'd written that song, and then a buddy of mine had sent me a different song called Dear Florida. And I was like, like, I don't even want to like touch the waters. So I just sat down and rewrote it. And it was a very fun song to write, because I was very fond of the memory that provoked that song. So, yeah, that was a good one, man. That was good. I love that song.
There's all kind of good stuff out there. And one of the ones I want to ask you about was every time the wind blows, because we can kind of feel something like this. People say there's, that eerie kind of feeling, whether it's positive, negative, feel something kind of coming on. This one I felt very positive too. Like for me, this one, of course, everybody's got their own way to resonate with it and kind of get a feel for it. This one was just positive in a way, because for me, it's like something good is about to happen when you feel a song like this. For me, it was. And of course, people can take it for whatever way they want to, because that's the way music is intended. But for me, this was like either you get that eerie feeling, or you get like, oh, I'm excited, something good's about to happen.
It's funny you say that, because that song reminded me so much of like old, like it didn't even remind me when we got done with the production and everything. It reminded me truly of that rock and roll feel that I grew up on. And I love the quote that Seal made years ago, that some songs just aren't meant to understand. And, it can pertain to, and that's just the beauty of art. And somebody actually brought that to my attention. A buddy of mine from college recently, he was like, because I wish, like I said earlier before we went live, I wish the song would have done better, because I love the song. And he was like, man, he's like, that's such a complex song to digest. And I was like, it kind of is, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. So I wrote that song though I was a senior, I was in my fourth year at Florida State, because I dropped out. But yeah, I love that song, and I love that everybody, no matter what, I mean, we've all been through a heartbreak before, but however you want to take that song and however you perceive it is unique to you, and not you specifically, you as in anybody. And that's why I love that song.
That's what makes music so unique out there, is people have their frame of mind to take it either a positive, negative way, or just in any way in general that meets them in the middle. No doubt about it too. I wanted to ask you about this, but we'll take another quick timeout coming up here in just a second too, about just the long-term growth here, because Better Off on a Beach, I hope you guys pushing it to the radio stations, picking this up, and not surprising, because to me, I describe it as a top 10 hit. We'll come back and ask Joe about a little bit of the projection forward, new single coming out, hopefully this fall, and a whole lot more here. HotTideCountry.net and powered by the Sports Guys podcast.com. We'll get into rapid fire final segment coming up here on the Backstage Pass, presented by Bangtail Whiskey in Honky Tonk, Texas. Stay tuned.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here on the show, final segment with Joe Noto. You can check him out at joenotomusic.com. and go stream Better Off on a beach somewhere out there too. Maybe you're on a beach and you just want to play that song too, which will be a cool thing because summer is winding down. I'm tired of this heat, Joe. This heat wave has been nuts.
Dude, Nashville's hot, but I've been down here in Florida for a week because, like I said, I had those shows and I had to rehearse and stuff down here, and I'm just floored at how hot it is. I mean, I'm sitting here in my house with my parents. Well, my parents' house, I guess it is now. But and I'm just sitting here and the AC's on, and I just feel the heat coming off of these windows behind me. I'm just like, this is brutal.
I'm close to a window too where it shines there. We do the show in the studio I've got at my house, and it's like, yeah, it's hot doing it right now too. When it comes down to, you don't want to be outside, and the dogs were like scratching at my door to get in. When I got home today from the day job, I went, yeah, let me just go ahead and let them in. Ice water, pour some ice in there, and bowl of water too, and they just gulped it up pretty quick too. Hey, let me do a little rapid fire with you. I'm gonna start with this one because I'm excited about where you go from here. You talked about a cut that is something kind of personal to you. When you hear a song, kind of where you want to go with it, and sometimes people may not agree with it all time. Maybe they will, but I think this next one I'm looking forward to. This next release when it's out, we're looking at a single coming up this fall.
Yeah. The song's called "Every Little Side of You." It was written by Michael Hardy. So Hardy, that most everybody know by that. It was written by him, Brett Tyler, and Dave Garcia. And I'm a big believer in God and letting God know what it is that you want. And I'm just while I'm such a believer in God, I am also such a fan of songwriters. And I would tell anybody that I moved to Nashville to be an artist and an entertainer. And if I signed a record deal tomorrow and they told me I never had to write a song again, I would gladly never write a song again. But this song to me, when I heard it for the first time, it brought me back to being a kid at Florida State, figuring out how to talk to girls in the bar because, you swing and miss a million times. And we've all been there, and it just is so relatable. And it also, but it makes me smirk and it makes me laugh sometimes because I see myself just asking girls questions and figuring it out and getting turned down and all that. And that's why, the song is indicative of where I was at the time. And it's a great reminiscent song for me. So I'm really excited about it.
Any release dates on that yet? Or are y'all still working on it?
No, I would say like late September, early October. Keep your eye out.
We'll have to get you back and we'll play that one, talk about it, and jam out here on the show too. All right, favorite hobby when you're not doing music? What's the hobby, the go-to thing that's like outdoors or indoors or whatever?
Golfing.
Okay, all right. So
I just golfed today actually. So
how'd you do?
Not well. I got.
I never do well.
I got used to Tennessee's courses not having any water, so let's just say that's how it went. It went today.
I mean, I'm not very good either, so I just go. We don't get paid to play professionally. We just play it as a hobby too. When I get a chance to do it, of course, it goes like every 6 months to a year. Get out to it, or just go to the driving range, have fun hitting balls because it's.
I was just telling my mom this morning. I was like, I wish you'd have put me in golf. Like that, because when you go now and you play against dudes that are so good, I'm just like, damn it! Like I wish I could hit the ball like that. Like, how do you get it to fly, like scrape the ground and then shoot up into the air? And it's just, but that's what keeps it. Golf keeps you coming back because you always get a couple good ones, and those are the few shots that'll keep you as a returning customer.
I love that. Good way to put that too. Favorite food for Joe Noto? What do you get into? Anything?
Favorite food depends on when and where, but I would go. I'm gonna go with a cuisine. I'm Italian, so I'm a big Italian food fan.
Same here.
I mean, for the rest of my life, I could eat that. Anything.
I'm sure you're like me. You could probably eat a pizza every day. So if you could, what goes on the Joe Noto pie? What goes on it?
The Noto pie. Honestly, you're gonna hate this answer.
All right.
I'm bland, just cheese and pepperoni, dude. Actually, I'll tell you, when I was a kid, it used to be not so much anymore, just because it's more so like I don't even think to order it anymore, and I used to catch so much slack for it. But I'm a big cheese, pizza, and anchovy guy. Love anchovies.
My kid, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know why for me, but I used to put everything on it, but now plain cheese is just making it easy for
Yeah.
me.
If it's good enough, man, it's good enough. It's pizza.
Well, I still say the best for me if you're gonna do the chain stuff is Papa John's. You really can't go wrong with
Papa John's.
for me.
I
Like,
know.
you know,
I haven't had. We had Little Caesars here, so that was our like growing up. Like that was if we wanted it really fast.
Yeah.
Shout out actually to Mario the baker. That's the Royal Palm Beach Italian go-to spot. So. So yeah, that it was between that and if we were in a rush, it was just a $5 Little Caesars pizza.
I remember those days when you're on a budget. You're like, I'm a college kid. I gotta get something that's a $5 budget. That's and I know they all were like $7.50 or they're going up a couple of bucks, whatever it is. This may take some thought. It may not. First song ever to sing live on stage.
Live on stage.
Cover anything.
Live on stage, I was. My mom's in the other room. She just told me the song. Actually, yeah, it was. Well, it was either two. It was two. I don't know which one came first, but I was in the School of Rock growing up, and basically, when you're at the School of Rock, you sign up every 3 months. They do a show. So you'd come in and you'd sign your name under which show you wanted. It could be, 90s punk, Motown, and the history of rock and roll, and everybody would just sign up for whatever. But the cool part about it was you had to learn and do every different instrument: keys, sing, guitar, bass, drums, whatever. Well, I had to sing "Sweet Child of Mine," Guns N' Roses, but I also had to do "Beat It," Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
I don't know which one came first, but those were either one show was before another, or it was like that. I'm not sure, but it was either one of those two.
I love that.
And it was very terrifying because I was like 12 and my voice was figuring out its place, and there was a lot of cracking and rehearsals, and it'd be either one of those two.
Yeah, you weren't doing the 3 chords and the truth, or he's like stepping out on stage doing "Mary Had a Little Lamb." He's doing some challenging
singing
rock anthems.
Yeah. So I had my work cut out for me.
You sure did, no doubt. Hey, man, I love this music. It is true to its core. It's authentic. It's really cool to see what goes on in the studio and behind the scenes. That's why we do this show, to get to know you guys on a first name basis and who you want to be as an artist, and showcase you guys. Better Off on a Beach, current single from Joe Noto, out there across all the digital platforms, and of course coming to a city near you. Check out joenotomusic.com. Joe, great conversation. Let's do this again.
Thanks,
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you, dude. This is a blast, and I can't wait to be back.
No doubt, brother. Tomorrow, Cody Webb here on the Backstage Pass. And, of course, this week we'll catch up with a few more toward the end of the week. High school football next week. Looking forward to that on CajunCountryRadio.com. And, of course, you can always catch us at the SportsGuysPodcast.com and at HighTideCountry.net, presented by our friends at Honky Tonk Texas and Bangtail Whiskey. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 with Cody Webb. Take care.